The atmosphere at Belmont Village is vibrant. We're a community built for life. We thrive and promote independence, engagement, social activity. It's an environment where we want our residents to have fun. And the beauty of it really is it allows our residents to age in place. They don't need to move. This is home.
When you belong to a community, it makes you feel safe. It inspires you to thrive. It honors your achievements, and it makes you feel at home. For nearly 20 years, Belmont Village Senior Living has created communities that have enriched the lives of seniors and their families, providing places where seniors lead healthy, purposeful lives under the care of staff who truly understand their needs. Belmont Village offers assisted living, independent living, and memory care in a continuum that supports residents when care needs change and providing for couples of varying care needs.
It's nice that we can be together. She needs a little bit more care than I do, and I don't have to do any cooking or shopping.
Aging is a gift. We invite you to embrace it with us and be a part of our community and our family. Belmont Village Senior Living, the community built for life.
Good morning. This morning we have a special guest with us, Patricia Wills. She is the CEO and founder of Belmont Village. The company has opened its first community back in 1998 and currently operates 24 communities in 7 states. They have 2 communities here in San Diego, one in Cardiff and one in Sabre Springs, and they are currently in the process of constructing 2 new communities, one in Calabasas and one at UC Berkeley. The company has its first international project as well in Mexico City. Welcome, Patricia.
Thank you, Patty. Pleasure to be here.
Patricia, thank you for joining us today, and we're very excited to have you here. You guys are really a leader and the leading edge of senior communities and senior campuses here throughout the United States. So let's get started. We understand that you got involved with senior living communities because of your family situation, so please tell us about that and how it morphed into what you do today.
Years ago, when I was raising my children and working very full-time, my mother-in-law developed what we now know to be early-stage Alzheimer's disease. Back then, we didn't have the tools to get a true diagnosis, so she alternated between living at home, psych wards in hospitals, skilled nursing, and invariably would wind up coming back home with diminishing capabilities. I began to think about her situation and our situation as a family and said, surely I can't be the only person in the world going through this. There's got to be a broader set of people and also a set of solutions. That kind of set me on a path where not finding a solution that was appropriate, and we had caregivers in the home, but I often say today that it's easier to manage our 3,000 people working for Belmont Village than it was to manage 3 caregivers in the home. That set me on a path of thinking about what I originally conceived of as a better place. I began to understand that seniors have broader needs than those who lose cognition. And I began to research what was out there. The answer was very little. At that time, there was one seniors housing community in the city of Houston, which is where I was living. And that seniors housing community did not have dementia care. So that set me on a path of researching what was possible. And to be honest with you, Ron, I never dreamt that that would turn into, now 20 years later, 24 Belmont Villages and more coming.
Well, that you were very intuitive, and so was that where the first one was here in California, or the first one was in Houston?
No, the first one here in California came 15 years ago. The very first one was in Houston, about a mile from the Texas Medical Center, and about a mile from where I lived. And to be honest with you, although today we do a lot of demographic study before we choose a market, at that time it was my gut. It was about a mile from where I lived. I saw the need. I knew that it would be ideal to be relatively close to a major medical center where we could learn a lot and just plunged ahead.
Did you have the opportunity to actually see it where your mother-in-law was able to live there?
No, very sadly, that's a great question. Very sadly, my mother-in-law passed before we finished the first building. But her husband, my father-in-law, and these two were very much like another set of parents. Years later, moved into that Belmont Village. He was very, very proud to live there. Of course, he wouldn't move in until he was 87. Prior to then, he said that was for old people. But he did live through our continuum there. He moved in as a very, very spry 87-year-old and eventually developed dementia. Was in our pioneer class of the program that we have for mild cognitive impairment, and eventually passed away on hospice in secure dementia. So he lived through the whole product line, had a great run there, and I was very grateful for the experience of seeing our product through the prism of a customer.
I'm sure his life was enriched.
His life was enriched, in fact, so much so that although he resisted moving in, as many of our seniors do, I would come over there, with the dogs to take him out somewhere, and he would say, "No, I'm busy. I can't." And I think that pattern, which I saw in my own family, and that we see so often today, is really going to change over time as people become more accepting of the product. But most of our seniors say that they came reluctantly, and about 2 to 3 weeks after they're there, they are asking, "Why was I reluctant?"
Oh, yeah.
We hear that all the time where, gosh, I wish I had done it sooner.
Yes.
That's the line.
That's the line.
You kind of briefly touched on our next question, which is a lot of your communities have independent living, assisted living, and memory care under the same roof. How do you see that, having experienced it yourself firsthand, how do you see that benefiting families? I personally have lived this journey for 12 years myself and made the mistake of moving my parents into independent living without a community that had the continuum of care. And so I know what it's like to have to keep moving as things progress, and it's not fun.
No, it's very, very difficult, and change is very, very difficult. Actually, our first community with that full continuum was here in San Diego, Belmont Village at Sabre Springs, and our Cardiff community has that same feature, and we do it as much as we can. What you find is the average age of the customer is pretty much the same, no matter what product type they're taking advantage of. We have a lot of couples, and what you find with couples is that people don't age in the same way. Some become a little bit more physically frail. Some may age and actually get better in the community. So they may come in with needs and actually begin to thrive and become independent. Some begin to lose cognition. Being able to take care of that age cohort with everyone thriving is what we're about. And I think that promoting divisions between the different services that we have is very, very tough. I think to say that somebody is independent one day who may change the next day and need help. I was just in one of our LA communities, and a guy who still runs a hedge fund in his 90s moved into the community in independent living, still lives in independent living, drives a great big blue Bentley. And seriously, but he had an episode where he had to be in the hospital, and when he came out of the hospital, we were able to provide his care for him. And he said, it took a lot of convincing to get me to move in here. It was actually his girlfriend who convinced him.
But not his children.
Not his children. And I never really thought of myself as needing assisted living, but for that several weeks or months where I was getting services to get me back on my feet, he said it was golden. So that's why we include all the product types.
It helps, it definitely helps, because what we found is as my parents made friends in one location, every time we moved, it was harder and harder
It's
for them
starting
to
all
make
over again.
moves. Yeah. So
I mean, just for people that are viewing this, so they were saying Cardiff. I just wanted Cardiff is Cardiff by the sea. It's a beautiful coastal property, which I love and adore. And then there's Sabre Springs, which is a little more inland. So if you want sunshine, warmer weather every day of the year, then Sabre Springs. If you want a little more coastal fog element, then Cardiff by the Sea is absolutely gorgeous.
That's right. I say lemon trees or surfboards.
So you are in a unique business space. You are the developer and owner and operator of these senior communities, which I think is fantastic. You really have invested in each community. Why did you choose that path?
Well, to begin with, we make all of our own buildings. We build them from scratch, and we do that to assure a quality quotient to the buildings from a life safety perspective, from a lasting long. But also, we're building the buildings for the people who live in them. And the design is very informed to be safe, to be welcoming, but to make sense in the context of who lives there. With respect to operating the buildings, when I started out, I really didn't think that that was the business I was getting into. We thought we could find somebody who would be able to do that. And during the 1.5 to 2 years where we were under construction on our first building, we couldn't meet who we wanted. So we did what I thought was unthinkable at the time, and take out a blank sheet of paper and build an operating company from scratch. With respect to staying with the buildings long term, we don't manage anybody else's buildings, so we take all of the research and infrastructure that we have and give that infrastructure to the buildings that we own long term with institutional partners. That gives us the luxury of understanding how the product and service behaves over a long period of time, of taking care of our buildings because we know we're going to be there. I'm about to celebrate 18 years in Houston. We just celebrated 15 years at Sabre Springs, and we're still building brand new. But we want everyone who moves in to have the experience of a brand new building because this is their home.
Have you written a book?
No. No time for that.
No time for no, but I mean, I'm just, again, I love entrepreneurship, and I just can imagine you must have a stack of paper napkins somewhere where all this is written on, or cocktail napkins.
I don't know if they're cocktail numbers or scraps of paper or,
Post-it notes.
Post-it notes on the night table.
But that would be a great story, so I encourage that when you have a spare moment.
Beyond the physical buildings that you've built, your company's known for integrating the latest research findings into your operating programs. So how have you accomplished that, and what impact does that have for your residents?
From the very beginning, not having a go-by in order to create either the buildings or the operating company, we reasoned that mining the academic community in particular to find out all that one can find out about seniors was the way to go. Good news is that the field of gerontology has developed tremendously. Neuroscience has developed tremendously. But even in areas like hospitality and nutrition, the great schools are now very focused on the senior mind and body. What we've done is sponsored research, engaged in research, and then taken the research findings and brought them into program design in our communities. A great example of that is a study that's been going on for a number of years with Vanderbilt University, looking at our program for mild cognitive impairment. It's a structured program within assisted living that allows residents, on the one hand, to live a very normal, holistic life, but at the same time participate in a program that fosters brain strength. The research findings for that were out there. We simply mined the research and put it into a very structured curriculum that literally thousands of people take advantage of today.
Oh, that's awesome. So that curriculum, does it involve the nutritional aspect, meaning meals, the physical aspect, meaning exercise, and the mental aspect, because I just read another article recently, because I'm constantly reading as well, being afraid that I might need that at some point in time, that they're finding that, everybody kept saying, do your crossword puzzles, do your Sudoku, but all that mental stimulation really isn't enough. It needs to be a full package.
That's absolutely true. For starters, your crossword puzzles and Sudoku are probably not the best things for you. What's best is to learn new things. So if you're comfortable with the New York Times crossword puzzle, that's great, but you're relying on long-term memory for word formation. Rather, if you force yourself to learn a new language or dance steps that are complicated, salsa, square dancing, physical exercise is tremendously important, and we really are working very hard to try to maximize that. There are a lot of researchers right now that say that if you could only do one thing, it would be physical exercise of some kind. But it's the combination of all of those things and purpose that really fosters brain strength.
Awesome.
Well, before we close out this segment, I do want to go through this amazing list that you're so involved with, which really keeps you on the forefront of what's going on. And the first one, which I'm very dear to me, is you're on the current advisory board of the USC School of Gerontology, and as we talked about, we're a big USC fan. So congratulations on that.
Red and gold.
And we beat another, anyway. Right on. Chairman Emeritus of the American Seniors Housing Association. You're on the boards of both the California Seniors Housing Association and the Argentum, am I pronouncing
Yes.
it? Argentum, the largest national association of senior living providers. No wonder you don't have time for the book yet. We'll get to that. So, I mean, obviously you feel this is part of your mission, and I just applaud you for that. How does this keep you engaged, and what do you see going forward?
Well, I think the whole business of advocacy for our seniors is terribly important. I have been, in addition to all of those, in charge of our chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. I think that it's not enough to wake up in the morning and just do your business. We have a tremendous amount to learn, and by engaging with the academic community and fostering research, and also encouraging students to become part of the field of gerontology, I think that is very much a part of my mission. Again, the academic centers have been very important to us in terms of structuring program. But at the end of the day, the primary objective is advocacy. And I think that the associations that I have led and belong to are very engaged in describing the issues that are facing our seniors and in joining public officials in finding solutions.
And I just want to congratulate you for being really a full-service corporation and a full service to our seniors. And as we talked about, I hope we get a lot of millennials that do watch this show who want a purpose in life. This is a great and booming field that they should look at as a profession, and moving forward. Wouldn't you agree?
I can't think of an industry or a career path that one is going to have more demand than this one. If you look out at the baby boom generation and what's going to happen when we crest and need care, together with the richness, to make a living in a field that really has a purpose, where you do great by doing good, is, I think, something that really is attractive to millennials, and I love carrying that message to my kids and to their friends at universities. It's just a wonderful opportunity.
Well, thank you. And Patricia, thank you so much for being here today. It's been an honor to get to meet you and chat with you, and we hope that you'll come back in the future and share your growth in both international buildings and local buildings, and I'm really excited to see how you do on the college campuses. I think that's going to be a phenomenal growth for you as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ron and Patty.
Thank you.
And stay tuned for more Senior Stay or Go TV.
When you belong to a community, it makes you feel safe. It inspires you to thrive. It honors your achievements, and it makes you feel at home. For nearly 20 years, Belmont Village Senior Living has created communities that have enriched the lives of seniors and their families, providing places where seniors lead healthy, purposeful lives under the care of staff who truly understand their needs. Belmont Village offers assisted living, independent living, and memory care in a continuum that supports residents when care needs change and providing for couples of varying care needs.
It's nice that we can be together. She needs a little bit more care than I do, and I don't have to do any cooking or shopping.
Aging is a gift. We invite you to embrace it with us and be a part of our community and our family. Belmont Village Senior Living, the community built for life.